See this video.
Over the last decade, Arc System Works has been dominating the fighting game scene. With Guilty Gear Xrd, they shattered the standards of what an anime fighter could look like. Then, with Dragon Ball FighterZ, they briefly united top players from across the FGC under one game based on an iconic IP.
Yeah, Arc System Works is crazy.
They would make one of the wildest crossover fighters with BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, and finally, they redefined the online experience.
They have Persona Ultimax and they have a DNF Duel, like
with Guilty
They have so many games. Arc System Works is crazy, and all of them have rollback now.
But in the midst of all their success, one game got the short end of the stick. 2 years after BlazBlue, and just a few months after Strive's announcement, ArcSys released a fighter that, despite receiving a ton of hype, seemingly vanished before it even had a chance to be seen. Today, we're going to be talking about what happened to Granblue Fantasy Versus.
Apparently they say that, well, back when I first started Granblue, they said like
Granblue Fantasy
it's a good game, but
is a browser
it had no
and
rollback.
mobile role-playing game developed by Cygames, which was released in Japan in 2014. It features music and art from Nobuo Uematsu and Hideo Minaba, who had worked together on Final Fantasy V, 6, and 9, as well as Lost Odyssey.
No wonder the art,
and the game
freaking music is so
developed
good.
a massive following, surpassing 25 million downloads by the end of 2019.
You play about it or not?
And so,
I don't know.
creative director Tetsuya Fukuhara and Cygames commissioned Arc System Works to produce a fighting game with the hopes of bringing more awareness to their franchise overseas. And awareness they got.
Yeah, it worked.
Dude, for in-game graphics, damn.
You can't say Granblue isn't
These three
visually appealing.
Are ridiculous.
You can't say Granblue Fantasy isn't visually appealing.
Early excitement.
Game looks phenomenal.
IP brought to life with stunning visuals by the same studio.
I don't even know anything about Granblue's universe,
it seems like success
and it still looks
was all
fire.
but guaranteed. And with a spot locked for the main stage at EVO 2020, it looked like Granblue was going to be a major FGC title for years to come. And Granblue had one more thing pushing it forward: accessibility.
The conversation of accessibility in fighting games is going to come up very frequently. It's definitely a pretty big talking point, if not a point of controversy in the fighting game community. However, I would definitely say that Granblue executed it really well.
The game itself is very promoting of patient play and
kind of reminds me of Street Fighter.
People for
the pacing.
Putting a lot of work.
Could be wrong though. I don't know what high level is like.
I gave it flag for being maybe a little bit too simple on release, but I think that as the metagame's been developed and as people have gotten better at it, it's definitely shown a lot of nuance.
One of the most intimidating parts of learning a fighting game is the execution of moves. Traditionally, fighting game inputs are complex, precise, and have a very short timing window if you want to do something properly.
Apparently it's like really easy in Granblue.
10 hit combo, 83 damage. That's hard to do, but it works.
Dragon Ball FighterZ attempted to lower this barrier for entry with its auto combo system, but Granblue pushed this further with a unique spin.
People like to bring up all the time that there's no resource management in Granblue Fantasy Versus, but when you consider the fact that we have the cooldown system, which not only helps to
there is a
bridge that
cooldown
issue
system
by adding in
you see these little 4 icons on the top. They're like MMO icons. Well, the game is based on MMO. They're like, you see shield, I don't know, this dash thingy, like, yeah, they have these little icons or whatever.
Consider the fact that we have the cooldown system, which not only helps to
I don't know
bridge
what
that
they
issue
do
by adding in cooldown management. It's a really interesting take for sure, and giving new players the option in not just general gameplay, but in specific situations to opt for easy input, basically single directional input plus a button. It's clearly had an effect already with other games like Multiple Type Lumina.
Rather than rely exclusively on command inputs, Granblue used a cooldown system similar to what you might see in an action RPG. With simple button presses, players could fire off their special abilities, and although these moves could also be activated with advanced inputs to lower the cooldown.
Wait, I never seen that on though. Like the press a button thing to do it. Maybe I just don't. Maybe I have to turn on the settings. I never even noticed this was a thing.
Players. Granblue Fantasy
Obviously,
Versus
it's in Street Fighter 6.
In February of 2020 in Japan.
The classic
made its
mode,
way to North America
not classic, modern.
The game received largely positive reviews from both fighting game fans and critics, and just like DBFZ, it had everyone from Sonic Fox to Leffen streaming something new.
This game, kind of like Dragon Ball, it had a lot of like cross-game rivalries where there's people from like this guy's like a KOF player up against like
it's always there. It's just worse than doing motion play.
Melty Blood, and this
it better be
playing Dragon Ball, and this guy's known for playing Dengeki Bunko fighting.
You see, in Street Fighter 6, modern versus classic, Classic is obviously the command inputs, but modern, the skill ceiling is just not that high. That's why like you get whooped by modern players right now because all they have to do is just press a button to an input. But I feel like classic players will just easily destroy them down the line.
Place, right?
Because like you learn more with classic than modern. Modern, you're locked to the same combos over and over. But with classic, you can learn different combo routes and all that stuff. I feel like the skill ceiling is higher, but at the start, you're probably gonna get whooped.
That was something that's really interesting about Granblue.
By
there
modern
were some
users.
critiques, but the game was quickly developing a community of competitors and fans eagerly awaiting the start of the tournament season. As we already mentioned, Granblue was selected as a main game for EVO and also had a slot in Arc System Works' international circuit, the Arc World Tour. The stage was set for Granblue to become a mainstay series in the FGC.
That character is crazy.
But there was one thing no one had accounted for.
COVID. The game came out during prime COVID. And it has no rollback.
Initially.
If your game has no rollback and it's dropping during prime COVID, GG.
EVO title and lots of other major tournaments as well, having a pretty keen focus on it. There was a lot of promise for the game, and whilst I don't think that promise has necessarily been wasted, as a result of the online era, there's obviously been all sorts of adversity in the FGC in general. And a lot of the major tournaments and a lot of the major infrastructure having to be changed pretty dramatically.
That's unfortunate.
Years as a result,
so much money on tournaments and stuff just have to get canceled.
The forcible
It's
shift
a lot of money
online.
wasted.
Well before Granblue actually launched, some players were already raising concerns about the lack of rollback netcode. We've spoken a lot on this channel about the impact rollback netcode can have on a fighting game scene.
All those games have rollback now, though.
Developers have largely ignored this concern for years, continuing to push out games that play great at an in-person tournament but are nearly unplayable online. While this issue is not limited to Granblue's devs, there were plenty of examples out in the world of games of smaller teams
I heard about
with
this
lower
game.
budgets,
This My Little Pony fighting thing.
Online experiences for
What
their
the
players.
hell?
Fighting game developers seem to be.
I thought it was a joke, or I thought it was like
Sadly,
some fan-made
we
thing,
all
but
know
it's an
what
actual
comes
game. I didn't know
next.
that.
The fighting game community was hit harder than any other esports scene by the COVID-19 pandemic. The loss of in-person events meant that every fighting game scene suddenly had to face the reality of their weak online infrastructure, and Granblue was no different.
Having a nice day. I'm having a nice day,
The game's
bro.
other issues became more
My
glaring.
Little Pony, I gotta
First
buy
was
it.
Granblue's
It's
poor
called
launch
Them's
strategy.
Fighting Herd,
The
yeah.
month-long wait between the Japanese and international releases, coupled with an even longer delay for
that
the
sucks.
PC version.
Damn, they was
created
cracking the game. That's crazy. The game didn't release. The game released a month early for Japan, so everybody was cracking the game.
National releases.
That
Granblue's
sucks.
poor launch.
Well, I mean, it doesn't suck, but like that. That's unfortunate because they're gonna have an advantage over everybody else. Damn, that's crazy.
The month-long wait between the Japanese and international releases,
Is this
coupled
Granblue
with
Fantasy
an even
Versus?
longer delay for the PC version,
That's
created
unfortunate.
significant confusion even among popular streamers.
Wow, how was I supposed to know that? That was the least clear of. Well, to be fair, these are supposed to be played in the language you understand.
Yeah.
Then, the game's 12-fighter roster
You're released with
felt
12
far too small
characters?
to justify it being a 60.
The game has a bunch of characters now.
Now, if COVID hadn't hit and Granblue had had the time to
Damn,
develop
this is
a
3 years
proper
ago.
offline scene, these early stumbles might have been less glaring. By all accounts, the gameplay was and is sick.
Yeah, it's sick.
Spot dodge. Oh, it fucking works!
You can spot dodge in the game? I didn't even know that.
And high-level play is satisfying for players and entertaining for viewers. But unfortunate timing robbed Granblue of any chance to build that offline momentum, so the only experience anyone ever had with the game was online on delay-based netcode.
Delay-based netcode.
What makes fighting games special to me, especially compared to other esports,
Gross.
is just how social they are and how sort of, I guess, down to earth the events are. If you're a huge Dota fanatic, you can't like show up to TI and play, but for like a fighting game, you can show up to Evo and play, and that's just the norm. Losing that is definitely not a good look.
Yeah,
for
rollback
any
cooked
fighting
a lot
game,
of fighting
much
games.
less one that had
Like even some of your favorite
delay-based
ones, you
netcode.
probably don't even know.
Let's take a moment to compare Granblue
So many stuff
to
just
a
gets
game
canceled
like
'cause of
Street Fighter 5. Both games have
COVID-19.
notoriously bad netcode and are
Notoriously
routinely
bad.
criticized by popular influencers.
Street Fighter 5 on release was one of the worst games I've ever played. You could rage quit with no problems. It didn't have any features. It was extremely bad.
However,
Good.
Street Fighter has
It was
a
bad.
massive community and decades of legacy behind it. So poor netcode isn't a make or break for Street Fighter's brand. Granblue, on the other hand, was just getting started.
That's why Street Fighter V
and needed a strong.
It has no rollback, but there's still a lot of people playing it on PC.
According to Steam charts,
well, it has crossplay.
The PC version of Street Fighter V averages nearly 2,000
players. Let's see if that's like that right now. Street Fighter V 1.5, and this is Street Fighter V. What is it, drop in 2016? That's crazy.
active players.
It has no rollback.
Granblue sits at just over 50.
It's way higher now, I think.
Let
me see how much players is Granblue in. Well, Granblue doesn't have rollback yet, but it's getting a gigantic update, so everybody's coming back to Granblue. Finally, they're getting rollback. 300 players. That's pretty good. Way better than it was before.
The poor netcode and the online.
It's gonna skyrocket, obviously, once rollback is in.
Into making sure Guilty Gear Strive had a great online experience. Now, Strive has one of the healthiest online ecosystems in the
on an arcade stick,
complete with its own developer-supported circuit.
It's actually easy. It's actually not that hard.
Granblue just barely had to pay for the pre-existing problems.
Same thing as using a thumbstick on a controller.
It will hopefully be the last major release.
Just well, obviously way harder. Damn.
I made a tweet yesterday. A lot of people seem to agree with it, I guess, and then there was a few people who didn't. And I said, if not for COVID, I think GBVS would have some of the most interesting international competition and incredible top 8s of 2020 IMO. To be honest with you, as usual,
is that worth watching? I have never watched it.
I think most of us agree that Granblue was in like a great spot to just have a
Game Pass was one with the Katakuri Pro.
Despite all its setbacks, there's still hope for Granblue yet. It's not like the rock-solid gameplay that the game was praised for just went away.
Seahawks looks so cool,
COVID might have disrupted the game's launch, but its solid foundation still remains. At its core, Granblue is still an incredible
Twitter the other day was crazy, bro. When Granblue got rolled back,
what surprises me, maybe
they
most
were
about
losing
the Granblue
it.
Community, having been a part of many fighting games communities, is the number of people who are still in the community, and this was their first fighting game.
Yeah, keep in mind, some people still play it.
A really cool aspect of how the game.
Some people still play the game even though it has no rollback.
It's unclear what the future holds for Granblue. The last confirmed DLC will release in December 2021. And there have been no announcements regarding future support or a sequel. There's also no evidence that Granblue will be added to Arc System Works Pro Circuit in the future. Still, Granblue will get its chance offline. The game has spots at CPO in December and Frosty Faustings in January. Organizers like Team Spooky's and LBC have kept the game going online.
I want to play Guilty Gear, but my eyes hurt so much trying to play it. Why?
In Japan, Granblue is still alive and kicking, where events like Rage have been able to continue unabated for the last 2 years.
But opportunities for online fighting games to coexist
with
offline fighting games is something that is really important. Having
probably
the potential
like your monitor
that
or something.
Granblue and its community, not just that the potential that exists in the game, but that the community members deserve the recognition, the opportunity that the community and its players, its tournament organizers, its commentators.
What is the stigmatism?
The community work so far.
Common generally treatable imperfections.
Not just alive, but thriving.
Blurred distances and near vision. There's probably some like eye mode or something that you can put on.
Amount of recognition and a huge amount of support.
Even glasses wouldn't help
it's
it.
a tough place to be. There's passion in this community,
a
desire to compete, but also a feeling like they might have missed their one and only.
You should probably look into like see if there's a monitor that has like support for that or something.
Granblue is still a really good fighting game. Its mechanics and aesthetic are wonderfully polished, and if there's one thing we've learned on this channel,
you might not you have it. Yeah, you might not have it as bad though.
Can sometimes be enough to keep a game alive.
Damn. Poor Granblue. Well, actually not poor Granblue. This is old video. December 4th, 2021. Hey, Granblue players the other day was happy as hell. Like Twitter was crazy. Like my timeline on Twitter was just straight up, oh my god, Granblue. That stuff was crazy. All right.